Thank you, everybody, for coming out today to be with us regarding the designer talk. Don't fake it when you make it is our subject. We have some three wonderful panelists here joining me to help answer some questions about natural stone and natural wood products. And I wanted to just start by saying that this, let me get my fingers here. This is an approved continuing education for AIA as well as ADCEC. So if you're anybody that needs those CEUs for this topic, just let us know and we'll be able to help you out with that. Today, our learning objectives are on your screen. We're going to learn about the historical and modern uses of natural stone, wood, and tile that prove its longevity and that it's achievable with proper installation and maintenance. We're going to compare the performance data of natural stone and artificial materials. And then we're going to discuss the human connection to natural materials and how using them in design and architecture can create a sense of serenity and excitement. So with that, I'd like to first take a moment to introduce myself. I'm Karen Rowe. I'm here in Central Florida. I have been a fabricator for over 25 years. We've done anything from a small vanity up to large commercial projects and big box work, a little bit of everything. So we do a lot of high-end stuff as well as just your simple installations. So we have a lot of experience here in pretty much the vast arena of natural stones, quartzes, and pretty much any product on the market that you want to put on a countertop, facade, floor, wall, whatever you would like. Next, I will have Amber go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little about it.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Amber Clore. I'm a licensed interior designer and certified aging in place specialist. I own A. Clore Interiors. We're going on our 10-year anniversary next year, and we do high-end, moderate residential and commercial interior design and remodeling.
Thanks, Amber. And next is Anne. Would you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your business and yourself?
Hi, my name is Anne Rue, and I'm an interior designer going on 21 years. You're going to be there soon. I know, I look much younger than I am. But anyway, we do high-end residential and multifamily housing.
Thanks, Anne. And then last but certainly not least, Emily, please go ahead.
I'm Emily Morrow of Dalton, Georgia, and I'm an interior designer. However, I've taken the interior design background and training and applied it to product development and product design. So I'm the owner of Emily Morrow Home, which is a luxury hardwood brand that's available across the United States. So, but I'm a huge fan of natural stone, so here we are.
Wonderful. Thank you, ladies. So as you can see, we have some really qualified interior designers and professionals on the stage for your questions and feedback, and we're going to see some of their beautiful designs here in just a few minutes. So again, this is focused mainly on natural stone and natural wood products, but you know, we're open to hear this is a forum for you. So we really want you to ask questions to our panel about things that can help you. I have kind of an agenda to follow, but we don't have to stick to it. So I want you to feel free to raise your hand, ask questions, and give us some feedback. So my first question to you all is, what I would like to know from you is, what is one of the most common myths that you hear from clients about natural stone? A common myth. Perfect.
Maintenance.
Maintenance. Perfect. Anybody else?
You can't put marble in a kitchen.
Can't put marble in a kitchen.
It's expensive.
It's expensive.
Well, I said tell that to the ancient Greeks.
Tell it to the ancient Greeks. So I think we hit on some of the most, top three, at least, myths about natural stone. We're going to, anybody have any other ones? It stains, that's a good one. So it needs to be sealed. That kind of goes with the maintenance. So we're going to talk about some of these myths. Oh, you've got... Okay, good. So even online, we have too much maintenance and cost. So everybody's concerned about all of the same things, it sounds like, in our room. So let's go ahead and tackle some of these myths. What do you say, ladies?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So first of all, I wanted to kind of just talk a little bit about the life cycle of stone. And when we talk about the life cycle, what does it go through, basically, from start to finish, or as we call cradle to grave, and Amber's going to touch on that in just a minute. But it starts out as a raw material, then it kind of gets transported to the quarry production facility, where it is then processed, cut, and processed. And then after that, it gets sent in transportation again to your distributors, right, or your wholesalers. Sometimes it goes directly to a fabricator. They might bring in that stone themselves. Then it's transported again to the end user, or the person that is actually going to be using it. So, and that kind of ends the life for a natural stone as far as the cycle of it. But Amber, would you please go ahead and talk to us a little bit about cradle to grave, what that means for natural stone?
Sure.
How it compares to some of our other building products.
100%. So I think sustainability is it's been a hot topic for a few years now, but we're really starting to see evidence-based design in interior design on how our built environment really impacts us and affects us. So I think green products, sustainability are really at the forefront as designers as we're specifying materials for our projects. So when we look at natural stone, it is literally the very first building product that we ever used in design and architecture. It's made by Mother Nature, so in its own right, it is green and natural. So I think when we're selecting these products and using these in our jobs, I mean, we're looking back at the Colosseums and the pyramids and all of these historic buildings and that were made out of stone, this cradle to grave, and actually keeping the building lasting longer. That is really what I think the cradle to grave and the whole building health is helpful to use natural stone.
Let's face it, when you walk through Italy or you walk through some of these other wonderful European countries and you see a lot of marble that's out there, right, or other products, those have been there for thousands of years, thousands and thousands of years. So one of those myths that I think Ann mentioned about marble in a kitchen is not necessarily a no-no. We just need to know and educate our customers about what maybe the maintenance is on it or how to care for it in the proper way. So it's not a yes or no, and the sustainability is obviously there, especially if you've been to Europe, you've seen it, and even around here you've seen it. So thank you so much, Amber, I appreciate that. One of the other things that the Natural Stone Institute and some of the NSF actually has put together is a new standard. It's not quite new. It's called the NSC 373, and it's for stone. And what it does is it sets the standard for sustainability in the natural stone industry. It means that it has a longer lifespan, and it establishes a scientific basis for evaluation and minimizes the environmental impact of building with stone. Everybody's worried that eventually the mountains are going to disappear and we're not going to have any more stone left. So this regulates the way that the stone is quarried, how it's quarried, and it sets the standard. It basically has created the standard for the stone to be quarried, processed, and transported that is scalable. So it's documented, and these companies that are pulling these stones from the quarries are actually having to be accountable and audited in the ways that they do it, and this is the standard that does it for natural stone. So with that, I believe that there's also one, Emily, for wood. Would you please go over that with us?
Absolutely. So sustainability as it applies to hardwood, I think people always assume that it's just bad to cut down a tree. However, that's not actually the best thing for the forest. So especially here in the United States, the hardwood forests, they're growing longer, faster than we're harvesting. And if you look over the past 50 years, we actually have a larger percentage of standing hardwood timber today. American timber growers want to sustain their timber land, so if you are working with a domestic manufacturer that uses domestic hardwoods, you can just rest assured that your hardwood floors and your hardwood materials are going to be responsibly secure. There's the Responsible Procurement Program, that's a tongue twister, RPP. So whether it's the National Wood Flooring Association, the Hardwood Plywood Veneer Association. Gosh, there's so many wonderful organizations that are focused just on that thing, going back even to the Lacey Act Amendment, where it was illegal to harvest wood and bring it into the country of the United States without proper documentation. So it's a very important thing to me, but as long as you know that it's not bad to cut down a tree, that there are trees being replaced every day.
Right, exactly. Anybody have any questions or comments about the sustainability of stone or wood? Come on, don't be shy. Leonard.
Just out of curiosity, in the Orlando area, when we see like live edge wood done in like get all stage fright. I'm sorry. So hi everybody. I'm Leonard. So in the Orlando area, when we see a mixture of elements like that, of wood and stone, I think is that the right term? When we see a mixture used together of that, when we see like live edge wood that's out there, it seems to be like very hard to get in the area. Now you said you're from Georgia, I think you said?
Yes, our offices are in Dalton.
Are there
Georgia.
certain like distributors, like, and I come from a stone background, so I don't know, but are there like certain wood distributors that deal in that, like in Orlando, or is it something that's got to be brought? Like stone is everywhere. I think we all probably passed 10 places today, but wood you just don't see it that common. And is it? I love when I see a mixture of materials like that, but because of lack of seeing it, is it because of the availability local?
Well, I can't speak specifically to Orlando. I know we see a lot of cypress along the highways and so forth, but we know there are certain parts of our country that are best known for their hardwood, like the maple in the Northeast, or Indiana is well known for their, and Tennessee are well known for their abundance of white oak. And so there are different parts of the country that are known for it. As far as just availability, I think the supply chain is always a challenge. If you're looking just for raw materials, then it just depends on if it's for a countertop or for flooring. So for us, our flooring is almost as direct from the forest to the floor as can possibly be achieved. So it's a little bit more of a vertical integration process. And most of the manufacturers here in the United States are pretty vertically integrated as far as getting lumber and then into flooring. I hope that answers a little bit. It sounds beautiful.
Wonderful. Amber?
A lot of times my clients will have like a tree that fell in their yard, or a large oak tree of some sort. Well, we'll create live edge out of their what they already have on their property. So I've done that multiple times. And then there's a couple really local sources like Lehman and Sons around that really do some great natural live, using hardwoods and all natural stones as well.
Great. Any?
Could you talk about something, telling a story?
Yes.
That way you integrate it with memory.
That's exactly it.
We have a question from Abby Turley, who's joining us online, and she wants to know, how can we change these mindsets in our clients? So many of my customers are discouraged by having to seal the products. How much upkeep do they really require?
Great.
I can speak on that.
Sure, go ahead.
When I'm dealing with clients, again, it's very easy to pick a solid surface. You can go and get it. It's easy. But if you want a custom piece of artwork, then you're going to go get natural stone. Nobody else is going to have that countertop. So wouldn't you want that in your home? I mean, my clients do, and that's how I sell it to my clients.
Yeah, I can add to that. I mean, there are no slabs that are the same.
Nope.
So there's not going to be, what a little spot might be in a slab may be actually beautiful to another client. So I've had slabs that have had these big, huge marks on them, and people say, I want that slab on my island, right? But then the next customer may not have a beautiful island, so they might not want to chop it up and use it as a regular countertop. So again, it just depends on the client, but I think educating the client is half the battle.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay, great. So we're going to take another poll. So I would like to know if anybody, obviously we talked about things being sustainable, but how about green, considered green building? How many people think that stone and wood are considered part of the green building? Yes. Okay, good. Good. Awesome. I think you guys covered that well enough that we've trained them that they know that it's a little bit green. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit, I guess I need to switch my slide here, sorry. We're going to talk a little bit about the care and maintenance being difficult. We're going to also talk about it being expensive, and then we're going to talk about we've talked already a little bit about how it doesn't work with some current design trends, but we're going to bust those myths open. And these ladies are going to help me do that, right? Okay, so one of the funniest things I have heard with natural stone, and as I said in the beginning, it's been 25 years, about that, a little bit more than that I've been doing this, is that I had a customer come to me and say, I don't want natural stone, absolutely do not want it. I heard that granite was made out of recycled toilet seats. Yeah. That was everything I could do to keep a straight face and not laugh at them, because you don't want to insult the client. But yeah, so we hear all kinds of things. There was a big talk about radon before, years ago, about radon. Those concerns are all kind of things that myths, some other myths that customers have. So at this time, I'd like Ann to just, if you wouldn't mind, talk to us a little bit about the realities of the care and maintenance of natural stone.
So again, I have clients that say, absolutely, I can't put marble in my kitchen. Well, they've been doing it for hundreds and hundreds of years. So it's not that you can't do it, but with any natural product and anything that you have in your home, you've got to take care of it. You've got to put some effort into it, so you have to seal it. I'm going to talk kind of out both sides of my mouth, because there are some natural stones that you don't have to seal. But the majority of them you do, and you have to seal them correctly. And yes, there's a little bit of a maintenance to that, but you have to wash your countertops, you have to wash your floor, vacuum, things. Everything takes a little bit of maintenance. So it's not that you can't do it. It will take a little bit of effort. However, if you're going to use a natural stone, think about that. You're not going to have the same thing that your neighbor has. You're not going to have the same thing that somebody else has. And wouldn't you want that in your home? Wouldn't you want a piece of artwork on your countertop or on your floor?
Perfect, thank you. Did anybody else have anything to add? Any questions on care and maintenance?
I do have one more.
Yes, go
And my
ahead.
client taught me this. So I kid you not. So she's got this beautiful marble top, and one of the pictures of her kitchen is in here. So she takes flour, literally baking flour and water, makes a paste. Because she gets lots of red wine rings on her countertop. And so she makes a paste out of it. She puts cellophane over it. You can leave it for an hour, 2 hours, overnight. Takes it right off. Little trick.
It's a little poultice that we call a poultice, and that is a great little trick for those of you who drink red wine and don't like to clean up your mess. So I will also add a little bit to that there are some sealers out there on the market. So you have customers that are worried about sealing the product. As Ann said, some of it doesn't need to be sealed. But the ones that do need to be sealed, there are some great sealers on the market out there that are 15-year, 25-year sealers, so you can seal it and forget it for that long. And they're warranted too. I mean, there's always something, you got to be a little bit careful about the little fine script at the bottom of the warranty that it's, it could be consumer, the way they are cleaning their tops. So you want to make sure you still care for your tops the way that you should care for them. You're not using Windex on a granite or a marble to clean it, to strip off your sealers. So following the care and maintenance, the 15-year, 25-year sealers, why not have a beautiful piece of artwork if you have less maintenance and don't even have to do anything for that long?
A little soap and warm water.
A little soap and warm water. That's right. Perfect. How about on natural wood?
Oh, wow. So we're a little different in natural wood, but not entirely different. I think anytime you have something that you value, you want to take care of it. Anything that adds value to your home and even your personal enjoyment, you want to take care of it, whether it's your jewelry, your nice clothes that have natural fibers. And so wood is no different, except that with wood, when I get the question, I always answer with less is more. The less you do to clean it, the better off you're going to be, because naturally wood is a clean material. And next to rock and stone with the cavemen, we've got wood as the second oldest, right? I think that's what the caveman used to go hunt with was wood. But wood, we really just advise keeping it clear of debris, not using a beater bar on your vacuum cleaner. And there's so many products out in the big box stores and grocery stores that are advertising, we can clean your floor, but more times than not, they're not advisable because they just add a residue that will maybe attract dirt and make them look grimy, just in less than a week. So less is more is my advice. There are some good products that NWFA recommends as approved to clean hardwood floors. One is Bona and Swiffer. They both have great wood flooring cleaning systems, and we advise you not to use wet mops. There are some products out in the marketplace that are hybrid wood floors that can be wet mopped, but just as a general rule, it's never a good idea.
Thank you. Any questions so far? No questions? We have a very quiet audience. Okay, we'll get you. Don't worry. We'll get you. Emily, there are a lot of questions about the sustainability of cutting down trees. And I know you kind of talked a little bit about that earlier, about what they do to kind of, make it a sustainable product. Can you touch on that just a little bit more, just on what we are doing in the wood industry to make it more sustainable?
Well, I always direct people to the NWFA website and also AHEC. They have so many entities here that are focusing on wood and promoting wood as a good natural material to use in interiors. But if you stop and think about the forest, it's a carbon pool, and it stores carbon when it's taken from the forest. And as a life cycle, as far as product longevity, if you choose a quality wood product, it's going to last a very long time, especially if you follow the care and maintenance to keep it looking beautiful for a long time. So you're not going to be replacing it quickly like you would be with plastic products. And of course, they all have their place, the plastic products do, but once you pull them up from your interior and they go to a landfill, that's never a good thing. So wood is just, it's such an easy story to tell, and it's one that we're really happy to keep telling.
That's wonderful.
And it's beautiful.
Thank you.
Do y'all have anything to add about, we touched a little bit about natural stone and its sustainability. Do you have anything to add?
I think you touched on something real fast about the landfill, and it's so great that stone can be reused in so many different projects. There are a lot of case studies out, a lot of actually educational establishments are taking stones out of buildings and reusing them in their projects. So I think this cradle, cycle of the building life can go to another place and still, have that beauty and using natural stone. So I like that concept, the sustainability.
And it has a story.
Yeah, exactly.
Wonderful. I will add to it too, as a fabricator, that we also, as fabricators, we try to recycle as much of the stone as we can when we're using stone. So, you know, we may cut a kitchen or a project for one of you ladies, and then we have all this waste that goes into this dumpster, and everybody says, well, it just gets tossed out. Well, there's ways that fabricators can also recycle. I mean, if you look at landscape stone, if you look at some other ways that we recycle pavers, fire pits, a lot of different ways that fabricators can recycle their stone as well. So it doesn't get wasted, and there are ways that fabricators can do that. Any questions about that? Ed?
No, I was just going to say, I totally forgot to mention with that whole concept of bringing materials out, we need to connect, because anything that is in a 12 by 12 format, we have our firm and we sell outdoor tables where we can interchange those 12 by 12 pieces and really create a one-of-a-kind piece. We're taking products out of the landfill and reusing it. So yeah, so that was a really fun
I have some customers that want my sink cutouts.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, because I was going to say, cutting boards and then Lazy Susans. I use it a lot for that.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I will tell you, be careful with that, because you want to make sure you have the little feet on the bottom of your cutting boards, or they're not too big, not too heavy, because it will scratch the countertop if you don't have something under there protecting it. So again, more ways and more creativity of how we can use the different parts of the slabs that aren't being used on a project. Wonderful. Amber, another question for you. I feel like I'm just attacking you today. A lot of people have questions on the style of stone, and why we would like to know why you use natural stone in applications.
So, I mean, we've said it multiple times. You get that one-of-a-kind beauty in a space that not anybody else is going to have. I love that your next-door neighbor is not going to see it. So I think that's really important. I think a myth is that there's not a lot of style in natural stone. You know, we only have a handful of different types of granites and marbles, but that's not true. I think when we actually look at the way we combine materials, whether it's natural or engineered, but really combining it to create interest, excitement, and it could be simple, or it can be like, wow, you know, wow feature. But being creative, and I think that's one thing that as designers we're able to do for clients, especially coming here to coverings and seeing all the beautiful stone and natural products that we have, is being able to show something new and different that you don't get in your little, you know, few box stores that we have locally. So I think it's really important that we specify natural stone, but also incorporate it into the built environment so that it's going to be really attractive, but also health and safe. Those are very important things too.
Perfect, perfect. And you kind of likened natural stone to jewelry. Can you expand on that a little?
It's the artwork, it's the jewelry, it's the thing that makes the space different. It brings in, you know, character. You know, it's a conversation piece. So why would you, again, I'm going to say it, why would you want the same countertop that your neighbor has, or, you know, why would you, when you can have something new, different, and original?
Wonderful, wonderful. Did anybody have anything to add to that? Any questions about that? Yes.
So I know we're skipping back to the last topic, but one of my biggest challenges is I've never installed engineered wood or natural wood in my home. So when I'm constantly challenged by my clients, hey, I have children and I'm a hostess, I have lots of parties at my house. I constantly am like, ooh, no engineered wood. But from what you guys are saying, that's not the case. And I was wondering if you could kind of expand on why I should be encouraging natural wood or stone products.
I think the first question that you said is you're asking the question. So I think finding out the lifestyle of the family is really important. It doesn't necessarily mean that a natural product is going to be the perfect fit for that family, but I think that really focusing on the needs of it. We're here, are you in Florida, based here? You know, engineered wood is very popular still to this day, so we are still seeing that go into the home. And knowing the proper care and maintenance, I think, is really important as well. And then also maybe figuring out how you can mix the materials. The whole whole floor doesn't necessarily have to be, hardwood. You could, mix it up in the wet areas or whatnot. So just getting creative with that. But wood, I feel like, is sometimes it's an emotional decision. You may have, grown up north and you're used to the hardwood floors, or even we're in Stamford and it's like historic district, 1800s, and we're preserving as much as we can of that natural wood. So number one, asking the questions of the client, figuring out what the best for their family is going to be, and then even if you haven't done it yet, still just knowing the education. Hopefully, this panel has helped a little bit on being able to say it's not necessarily not the right product for you, but here's the pros and cons, and then let them make the decision.
And if I can just add to that, I get these questions all the time. And so don't hesitate to find either a flooring retailer, or even if it's a manufacturer that is designer friendly. For example, my company, Emily Morrow Home, I love getting questions like this. And there are hardwood floors that are scratch resistant. And engineered in particular, it's 100% hardwood from top to bottom in the middle. It just gives you dimensional stability. You get a lot more variety because of the engineering of that product as far as just styling goes, which kind of goes back to our other topic. You can get different species, different visuals. But just doing research on the front end and with your partners that you work with, whether it's your installer or your flooring retailer, or even the brand that you feel comfortable aligning yourself with. There is information out there. I have one particular designer who, she has one of my floors in multiple projects, and it has a little bit of a face sawn visual, and there's a little bit of how the color comes and goes, and she said, this is what I put in every one of my clients that have a 90-pound golden retriever. It has the scratch resistant, but it also has a little bit of character just built in. So it gives you a little bit of grace.
And one other note from personal experience, 3 or 4 houses ago, I can't even remember, but I put in solid hardwood floors. This is when I only had 1 boy. Now I have 3. And I stained them ebony. They're really, really pretty when they're clean. And after 6 years of keeping those floors clean, I just sanded them down and I refinished them to something that wasn't ebony. And again, so I got 2 floors in 1.
That's great. Awesome. Good points there. I'm going to add to it. As a fabricator, from a fabricator's point of view, as a fabricator, I feel like it's our responsibility to have that discussion with the customer as well. So if we're working with the designer, then we're partners. We're trying to help this customer find the best product to use in their home that's going to work with their lifestyle. So if I have somebody that has 10 kids, they're always entertaining, they're drinking wine all the time, all of these things that are adding up to going, we got to be careful, and they want to put white Carrara marble in their kitchen. What would you say to that customer? Probably should educate them a little bit about how soft the marble is and some other characteristics of a marble so that they knew what they were getting into before they got into it. I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm just saying they need to know before they do it. So we spend a lot of time as fabricators, we spend a lot of time trying to learn their lifestyle. And usually if I can walk them through my showroom, I can also pretty much figure out their color, pattern, taste. Do they like the big veining? Do they like the little chunky speckles? I had somebody call it squigglies the other day. I thought that was a cute word. I have adopted that as my new description. So we learn their styles too, and then we can also work hand in hand with the designer. Maybe the designer's really busy, they can't be there. Karen, listen, this is what they're looking for, and I can kind of help guide them as well to specify a product that might work for them. So we help each other down that road to get the customer to where they are happy in the end with what they have. Sound right? Okay, so we have to talk a little bit about expense. So I would like to just ask the panel overall, what do you say to the customers when they tell you that this product is too expensive, whether it's wood or whether it's natural stone?
You're going to spend something on it, you know, whether it's $4 a square foot or $10 a square foot. You know, if you've planned it into your budget or your builder has planned it into the budget, it is what it is. But everything's expensive, especially now. I mean, you get what you pay for.
Well, there's a difference too between cost and investment, right?
Absolutely.
And so even, it's not even just a vernacular, it is an actual difference. So if you're investing in quality materials in your home, it's going to have a higher resale value. You're going to enjoy it for a much longer time. And that's the beauty of also working with a professional designer, because she's going to present you with quality materials that will last a very long time and add value, not cost.
Absolutely.
I would just say that, you know, everybody values things differently. So figuring out what that is, I think as designers, I can probably speak for all of us, we figure out where we can save and where we can spend. And if the countertop is the wow factor and that's the feature, or maybe it's the island. We pick a gorgeous stone for the island and do the perimeter a little bit different. So I think there's ways that we can create design, interest, excitement with expensive, if you will, materials. You're right, the industry, we're seeing just prices go up. Crates, we were talking earlier, coming over, getting more expensive. However, I think on the fabricator side, there's more innovation in fabrication and installation. So I think there's going to be a flow, a juxtaposition of those two things as we start to develop more and, you know, specify more products.
And like Amber said, as a designer, it's our job to figure out where we're going to spend the money, because you know, there's more than one way to skin a cat. You've got a budget, let's use this here, let's use that there, and then we make it work.
Very good. Any questions or comments about that? That seems to be a very popular, thank you, I knew there was going to be some. Seemed to be a popular subject.
With our clients, one of the primary questions I ask them is how much do they want to spend or what their budget is, and many of them don't give me a clear answer. How do I get them to kind of answer the question?
You educate them, and you know what the budget is. You automatically know, so you educate them and you ask them the question, they never know, then you need to be the person that says, this is what it's going to cost you. Is that in your budget? Is that what you want to invest?
So describing the different costs of different materials.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They can go with laminate if they want, but they don't want to do that, do they? No.
I think oftentimes too, if you're working on a project, they oftentimes like to say, we're not going to talk about the budget, and they put that final decision off towards the end. And when you get to the end, it's usually the flooring, and that's the one thing you're going to walk on every day. And you know, you're just going to be giving them a much better service by helping them on the front end, so they don't have to compromise at the end.
To me, it's like a real estate game. In order to help them to visualize how budget look like, you need to show them a visual. So this is what $10,000 will cover, and this is what 20, and this is what $100,000 will cover. So when they see visual, the difference in between, they will know where they are at and where they want to be at.
Absolutely, it's good, better, best. Yeah, and then they get to choose.
Wonderful, thank you, thank you. Any other questions? No questions, comments? Oh, yes, go ahead.
I feel like this is such an interesting topic, sorry. So for me, when I'm describing good, better, best, I normally verbally describe it to them, and some clients do not understand that. But then when I go to a more visual, it's still hard for me to show them. Do you guys have any platforms or tips or websites that you guys are utilizing to educate the client while you're describing?
I've put something together for that. I do it for any type of materials that I specify for the client, even down to the furniture of this is the low end of what it's going to be. This is your square footage. I mean, it is what it is. So it's either this, or that. And I put it in writing so they can see it, and then they can choose again.
Almost in like a PowerPoint?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll share mine with you.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Okay, great. So then, next question is for everybody in the room. So wake up, you're not sleeping, are you? Are you all sleeping? Because I pick on people that are sleeping. All right, here's your next question. How many of you have recently specified natural stone in one of your projects? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. I know you guys have. Wonderful. That's a good percentage of the room. Very interesting. Can I ask you, just out of curiosity, who would be willing to share the most common specified product for a countertop? Anybody want to share? Carrara marble? Okay. Anybody else?
My guess is limestone.
Limestone? Crema Maya? Okay, great. So you're seeing these marbles in kitchens a lot. Is that what I'm gathering? Yes? How about quartzites?
I was going to say quartzite.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I was just curious because in the previous forum it was for fabricators, and that came out up a lot, that quartzites are becoming very common in specifications. So that's very interesting. So just from my point of view, I wanted to know that. Okay, thank you, and thanks for sharing, those of you who had shared. I'm going to go ahead and pass this on to Amber, who's going to start and just talk to us a little bit about some installations that she's recently done. Amber?
Sure, thank you. So each of these projects, the two on the left are the same bathroom, but they have a mixture of all natural stones. So it's a granite countertop, and we actually wanted to do something a little bit different here. So we had the top leather honed, so it just gave it a little bit of a different texture, took it away from that shine, and really gave it a really unique and elegant feel to the space. On the walls and the floor, we used a marble mosaic on that as well. So just mixing the colors and the tones together.
It's beautiful. I just use that same.
Thank you. And then the one on the far right, we do have a subway stone tile mixed with a glass tile. So it kind of created like a bubble bath effect for our client. That's what she was going for there. And then we did use on the floor, it's actually an engineered waterproof hardwood floor and that. So I know you were mentioning that they do have those products that are kind of hybrid. So that's a hybrid product right there. So those are some fun projects that we did in Heathrow and Maitland.
Next.
Oh, so fun. So the far left project, literally I just took that photo about a week ago. This is a pagoda quartzite that we backlit. So the whole island has hundreds of LED panels behind it. And the client, this is a $15,000 island, I will tell you that. But this was the wow factor in the whole house. It's the first thing you kind of see when you walk into the space. And the client really wanted it to be a wow feature. So we did the waterfall edge with the backlit quartzite. So pretty. The middle photo is just showing natural stacked stone. I think it's a super simple product that's out there. We see it a lot on the exteriors, but we wanted to bring it on the interior here. And we did this build-out fireplace and went all the way up to the ceiling. It's about 30 feet. Very impactful in the space. And then the far right photo, actually, when I was at Coverings 2 years ago, I saw this done, and I was like, I have to do this in a project. So we were able to do floating burners inside of a countertop, and then you can see we did a cutting board to the right, it's mixed use. The challenge there was that we did not want any seams in the countertop, so we decided to do a little separation of the material so that we didn't have any seams for the stone. Those are Longwood, Maitland, and Winter Park on the right. So we have the Maitland house again on the left, and on the right is our Winter Park home where we use natural wood floating staircase and metal in this. This was a complete addition to the home, bungalow style. We created ultra modern. I'm not sure if you've been to Winter Park lately, but all the homes are being remodeled to super ultra modern, and so that's what we did here, and just a really great way to use that natural wood. It was not even stained. We just did a little bit of a coating on it to keep it very natural, and created a really great feature in the space.
Beautiful work. Thank you, Amber. Thank you so much. Next, Emily.
Well, so it's always fun when I get calls from my designer friends. We have this designer network, and I try to give them as much hand-holding as possible. And she said, I have a client that wants to do a custom herringbone in her house. And it's a large house, and we want it to feel like it's been there forever. So we did. We worked up the sample. Client fell in love with it. And then when I sent her a detailed statement, she said, oh, it says engineered. My client wants real wood. And I said, okay, it is real wood. And so between the communication of back and forth and sending a little detail, what that was, then in the end of the project, the client told her of all the things that she helped them choose for their home. She said, we love the flooring the most. So that to me was rewarding. And to her it was rewarding because it was a little bit of a process to get through the explanation of the materials. But in the end, they're very happy, and it'll be an investment. And these particular products, they're rift and quarter sawn on the left, and on the right, it's a 9-inch wide. And again, the case study, I guess, references what our clients and our customers tell us their customers are wanting. So designers are literally tuned into the pulse of the industry and what consumers want. So that gives us direction with colors, patterns, widths, and what we need to offer in our product line.
Any questions so far for Amber or Emily before we go into the next one?
Yes. The one on the right is 9-inch wide, and it's 16 millimeters overall. The one on the left is a 6-inch wide, 18 millimeters thickness.
Can I ask you a question going back to the countertop with the floating burners?
Yes.
Was that a porcelain panel countertop, or what were they?
That is not a natural stone underneath the burner, but the wood in it, and I believe when I was here at Coverings, it was in a natural stone. The client decided to go this direction with it, but just the way that it all came together, and with working with all the natural materials, it's really pretty.
It's great. And you said you wanted to not have a seam. Was there like a transition strip to separate the materials? Was there something in between?
We added the kind of cutting board, natural wood inside of that, so that the actual countertop didn't have a seam. So there was, in theory,
Okay.
seams from the wood to the countertop, but I didn't want, because it's such a solid color, you would see that seam really easily. So we just created a little interest.
To answer the question, if there is a question, I'm sorry, I shouldn't assume, but you can do that in natural stone.
Yes.
It's not a problem to do that in natural stone. All right, we're going to move on. If there's no more questions, any more questions?
Oh, the cooktop? I can look in my notes and
This one?
I'll tell you after this.
Looks like an engineer, but I might be wrong. Okay, moving on to Miss Ann.
Okay, so to the far left, that is the client that I was telling you about that likes to spill red wine on her countertop. But as you can see, it's stunning, and she's still in love with it today. And you can't hardly see it there, but we stacked it, so it's got an OG edge, and we laminated the edges to give it that thick appearance. Same client. I believe that's an onyx that we put on the bar. We did not backlight that one, but we did put an onyx there. And then this is a senior housing project that we did in Orlando, and we've got a mixture of granite, and then in the middle is the onyx that we backlit for where the signage is. Okay, to the far left, that is soapstone that we used around the fireplace, and it's in a honed finish. It was stunning. And then on the countertop, we used the Calcutta quartzite, and it just, beautiful. And that house has been there for over 10 years now, and we sealed it well, and it looks beautiful.
Any questions about these projects? Any questions at all for our panelists or anybody else? Statements, questions, comments? Ladies, anything to add?
I mean, no, this has been a lot of fun. Talking about design and trends and what's going on in the industry, it comes second nature, I would say, to us. But being here at Coverings has been really exciting. I've been here since it opened, and if you haven't gone to the show floor yet and seen the amazing products out there, definitely, I mean, there's just so much beautiful stuff to see. So go check it out, and thank you. I'm very honored to be part of this panel.
Yeah, this was
Thank
fun.
you. Thank you so much for being a part of the panel. I enjoyed meeting you, Emily, for the first time, and you guys in person. And, our contact information is all up on the screen. If you want to reach out to any of us, we're more than happy to answer any questions, or if you need help with anything, then please do reach out. All of us, I believe, except for Emily, are Orlando-based. So if there's any questions, even, we go everywhere, but I don't know how far you ladies go, but I'm
Anywhere.
Sure, anywhere. Okay. See, you got to have variety, right? You got to be able to just do it all. So if there's no further questions, I would like to just, we got one. All right, yay. Hold on, coming. It's okay, it's good. That's what we're here for.
I do have a question for Emily.
Okay.
I'm coming from Dominican Republic. Over there, we use a lot of natural sources finishing for the walls. It's not all about like the flooring or the countertops. We use wood and marble in the walls also. So over here in Orlando, I'm lacking of vendors for wood panelings. If I want to do like slabs or just cover half of wall with wood and then the other half with natural stone, like a fireplace, things like that, everything has to be more like from another country. And when you put together the shipping, like taxes and everything, it's like crazy. So this makes the clients to kind of back up of the idea. Even if the idea is really pretty, they feel like, oh, I can't afford this, but it's really pretty. So do you have a local vendor or any idea that can help me to accomplish this type of designs in a more conscious budget?
I think so, and I would have to look at my computer to see who we have in this Orlando area, but if not, I can work with you and direct you to your nearest retailer that carries Emily Morrow home. But wood on the walls is something we get requested often. So, it's pretty easy just to order one carton of wood if you want to just demonstrate it to your client. And that's probably the best way to show it and communicate that as a design option. And then commercial, is this commercial or residential? Residential. So I don't know that you have as many builder code concerns. You can apply it right to your wall. And some companies will make, even if they have it in a wood format, they can make it for the walls also.
I had mentioned the company, and you said it, Gleeman & Sons. They're local in Sanford. Also, there's a company called CMRG out of Orlando that does all types of amazing architectural products, wood paneling, really anything you could think of from an application standpoint for the wall. Mm-hmm. So I can, CMRG.
And I just realized it's Matt Manning Surfaces that carries my line.
They're good.
Do you have anything else? Nope. Any other questions? Reclaimed lumber.
I love reclaimed lumber, and there are some great companies that do reclaimed flooring. We can create looks that mimic reclaimed, but everything we do is, fresh, new, new product. But there are some exceptional reclaimed companies in the industry. And if you need help locating it, I can pull out the NWFA directory.
I feel one more. Somebody wants to ask it. Come on. No? Not a very good psychic medium, I guess.
There was one.
I knew it!
Well, there's one thing I think we all need to have built into our projects, whether it's, you know, you as the specifiers or us as your able assistants, is as you're looking at product in your timeline, today's environment, we're needing to build in not only additional costs, but additional time because of the delays that we're all dealing with. I have friends that make furniture, I have friends that make flooring, and we've all experienced these same delays and the shortage of commercial drivers even. So we've got all these delays. So just keep that in mind, that so that everyone can fulfill your timelines, to build in that extra time.
Thanks, Emily, for adding that. Yes.
To your point back there also are some sensitive consolidators of parts. Obviously, you'd rather bring all the products from one location, but sometimes there are some sensitive consolidators that you all might know better than me, that you could bring it together if you find the sensitive consolidator of these different materials.
What does a sensitive consolidator do, if
I'm
I may?
sorry, a shipping consolidator where you ship to someplace almost like GES or Freeman bring things in here and they gather it all together. As a matter of fact, our booth, I'm next door in the wood side, we had 3 or 4 different companies actually on our same pallet. It was improperly done, but it could be properly done where you consolidate. I would think probably you've had projects like that you might know of a consolidator. The urge would be to do it all in one place, but sometimes you want wood from here and stone from there, and I'm sure there are consolidators that would bring it all together.
I think I saw a hand back there. No? No? Okay, I'm going to just kind of touch on what Emily talked about, and I'm going to put a friend of mine on the spot here in a second. So, you know, we talked earlier a little bit about having a good relationship with your suppliers and staying ahead of trends and knowing and expecting what's coming ahead so that we can prepare our clients. And one of the things I find very important as a fabricator is to always stay ahead of what's coming into the country, what issues we're having as things are being sourced. We talked about, Emily talked a little bit about building materials and everything being behind and turnaround times and things being behind and taking longer periods of time. So I have a friend in the room who I just wanted to share, who is an importer of natural stone. He works for a company that is an importer of natural stone. And we have a very good relationship because he keeps me informed as to what's going on in the industry and what things are happening with shipping. So one of the big things that's happening with shipping is the containers are costing more and more to come into the country. And that helps me educate designers such as these ladies and yourselves in the room to what to expect for your clients when you're setting budgets, when you're looking at certain materials. That $4 material may not be $4 next month or in 2 months. And so, Leonard, can you just give me an idea of what the average cost of a container is of natural stone used to be maybe 60 days ago and is currently and what we're looking at in the future?
Yeah, you put me on the spot. And I can only use real world situations like that are happening now. So there's a supply chain shortage of container boxes. Asia, I know you guys saw the ship stuck in the Suez, and that's fine. That backed up a lot of stuff. But container ships themselves, that's not the problem. It's the actual container boxes, and it's a shortage around the world. There's so with that, I believe it's an 18% deficit of container boxes, which is affecting everybody getting everything remotely coming out of Asia. You never realize how much, and it's not like China, Shenzhen, one little area. It's all of Asia and all of those areas around Asia. So with a lack of container boxes means you can't get your polyester resins for your finishes, for your flooring. You can't get your whatever product, say you're using a bamboo resin look on a panel that's going above, a curio or something, just something crazy. So there's a shortage and it's affecting every single product that we're buying. We've grown so dependent on these products from Asia, and now, so what we thought, okay, well, it's just a supply chain shortage in containers and container boxes, no problem. And then we find out it's not that it's that also, but then we see a strike over in another country in South America for a truckers union strike. That drives stuff up 15 to 19%. Then we see a gas hike here in the United States, and then we see I think you guys had mentioned, Ann had mentioned, and you had mentioned, that finding commercial drivers to take stuff from the port to just to Port of Miami or Port of Everglades over to our Sarasota location, what was, and this is a hypothetical, please don't hold me to these prices, I'll just deny it. No, I'm kidding. What we would pay $900, $1,200 to have a container hauled from the Port of Everglades or Port of Miami over to Sarasota, now is $3,800 last week. So now we're seeing containers that were coming out of Asia, out of an area of Korea that we use. They're going to go up $6,000 in the next 2 weeks. So what was a volatile industry of anything coming out of Asia that has to be shipped that we've relied on is now even more volatile. So between trucking it, through the United States, gas prices, all of a sudden strikes in other countries that we've grown dependent on, South America, Central America, and what's happening over in Asia is it's obstructing everything. So all your costs are going to go up. If I had to give you a projection or a way around it, it would be to try to find a sustainable solution that's not going to have a supply chain shortage. Think domestic, think these products that you can get right here, American made, Canada, if they play friendly. Find another way other than relying on that supply chain, because that supply chain is getting very expensive right now, and it's just going to get worse.
Thank you.
I don't mean to be pessimistic.
No, I just wanted everybody, because in the last session, it became a very important question and very hot topic for a lot of people. And so that's why, sorry to put you on the spot, you weren't expecting that, but that was why I wanted to bring it up, is because this affects all the way down to the end user. And so it's happening not only in the stone and the wood industry, it's across the building, it's across every type of importing or any type of purchasing of material. So when we talk about it, we want to make sure we educate our customers and maybe even put on our paperwork, that this is subject to price increases or something to cover yourself. So when you're giving yourselves these budgets for your customers, they understand and are educated about the supply chain shortages that are coming in. Does that make sense?
Do we have 1 second?
Yeah.
So all these things, necessity is the mother of invention, and I've always followed the trends. And one of the things that we're going to see as a result of what's going on now is we're going to see a little more variety in materials. Just for that, what you said. So in our world, in floor covering and hardwood specifically, white oak has just ruled for quite some time now. So we're going to see a little more diversity of species in what we're making, but it'll be driven by designers and specifiers out of necessity. So look for that. I think you can definitely expect that, and it will apply, I'm sure, to natural stone as well.
I'm seeing it. Are you guys seeing it? Yeah, the ladies, yeah. Okay, great. Up on your screen are just a few of the live webinars coming up and some recorded webinars that the Natural Stone Institute has put together or are coming up. And feel free to take a look at those. They're all very informative. And if you have any questions after the session, then please feel free to go ahead and come on up and talk to us. Thank you again for coming. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.